Oh, hell, this will be a hard one to explain. So, here we go. So, knowing what I know that this all exists. It was unbelievable. And so, as you're going to see this hospital here, well, you need to know that my daughter was dying in that hospital. So, her triglycerides were at where ours could be 300. Deadly is 800. My daughter's was at 13,000 plus or minus. Her body was shutting down. It was grease. Unheard of. The doctors, you just knew that they didn't know what the hell was going on. They were doing everything they can. You got to give them so much credit. But there's just so many things that was going wrong. She had tubes everywhere. It was the most heartbreaking thing you ever seen. And so I would call around other people. I say, hey man, you know, we talked about these different things. Do you have anything that would help her? Because, you know, things are not good. I stayed at that hospital for 29 nights as she was working her way through this deal. So the Federation, and if you wouldn't seen the ships that I've seen, it's hard to imagine. But the Federation put their technology, their boots on the ground, and they went into the hospitals at night. Did I get to see them? No, not at all. But they would also go above the hospital, and they would create this huge frequency wave of a healing field. And they would tell me what they're doing. And I knew by seeing these ships that it was true. And all of a sudden my daughter, which they said it's a miracle to this day she's alive. Now she's getting better. And they were bombarding frequencies down. And they were going into the hospital with their medical staff and team, sneaking around and taking care of my daughter. My gosh, you know, how blessed am I for that to happen? Why in the hell would they even do that for me? What, you know, when our government turns them down with this type of technology, but yet they're still going to use it for people. God bless them. So, my daughter is fine now. She really thought that sometimes the people that she saw come in were angels. What she does say is that the people that came in, she'd see from a distance. However this was working, I don't know, but she said the closer they would walk to her, the more she would feel a frequency, like a static. And as they get closer, and there was one particular one that as he got closer, he would get closer and closer, and her whole body would just be like, you know, she's in a all of her cells were percolating a static electricity of some kind. And he would kiss her right on the forehead. And she said, Dad, he's pretty good looking too. And, so anyway. That being said, my daughter's doing fine now. Jeremiah, they gave me reports on how things were going. He said that they were bombarding these frequencies so heavy on that hospital that he's surprised that everyone didn't get up and walk out. So my problem with this is, if this technology exists and it's presented to our government, and they reject it, what the hell's going on? Come on, man. Huh? Yeah. So we need to somehow, you know, I heard that one guy speak about, God, we need to change some of this stuff. Just revolt. I don't know what the hell. But whenever we have this, and then who in the hell can let somebody die knowing that they set a rule that we can't bring that in the government, and then they watch their kinfolk die over here? Who in the hell are they? I mean, I didn't vote people like that in. What's going on? And it's just very upsetting. So I don't know how long I've talked. God. But what I want to hear is questions from y'all, because, you know, I don't have the answers. I mean, we're dealing with energy fields, ley lines. The waters up there in Utah right now, they're tied to a meteorite. They're tied to all these different metals coming into a central point. That central point is creating a frequency that's jacking with everybody's equipment. But yet when somebody has pain and they walk into those energy zones, the pain goes away. It's a blessing from God. You know, and we've caught hell for doing this job. But we gave them hell too. And we're not through. There's things that we need to learn about that will be a blessing to our future kids and our grandkids. And so we've had people get in the pond, just that pond, and it's tied to energy fields and ley lines, and it's tied to also a meteorite. So this water, 200, what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, here we go. So there's people that get in those ponds, and they'll sit in those ponds, and that water is cold, but yet it makes an electrolysis around you like it's being charged. And so you get in those ponds, and people get out of them and say, you know, my back doesn't hurt. Or one lady from the Skinwalker Ranch had a cataract over her eye, and she had glaucoma in this eye. She got out of the ponds and then went to the energy zone, and the next thing you know, she says, you need to know that I don't have these eye problems. People with bad back pains for years got in and found out that now they don't have the pain. It's like whatever's going on there is charging every cell in their body to correct what the hell is going on. All I ever tell them is, they said, what do we owe you for this? And I said, you damn sure owe me. You damn sure do. And they think, oh hell, here comes the Texas charge, you know. No. You owe me to go tell your story. Tell your truth. Go tell them. And if it helped you, fine. And if it didn't help you, fine. But tell your story. Tell your truth, so we can move forward on what we find out and say it didn't work here, but it did work here. If the government is not going to tell us the truth about what is really out there, then it's up to us to tell ourselves the truth. I want you to know this is a miracle, because Chad knows this. This is the first time I hadn't cussed that much. So if anybody has a question, please ask a question, because I just, you know, if anybody does, please.
You missed a lot of stuff.
Do what?
You missed a lot of stuff. Tell one thing. Talk about the two girls in the trailer.
Oh, on the documentary. Yeah. Okay, here we go. You'll like this one. So Chad was out there, and we were all out there, and on the documentary, it gets crazy out there. It's a pretty good gig. So there was two girls that showed up that was a part of the paper team, you know, to work for Cargo 7 and the whole 9 yards. And they said, we're out here to do a job, and you need to know that we don't believe in any of this crap. That's okay. get some of that. I don't care, you know. And so that night, Chad's better at telling this damn story than I am, but I guess I'll just have to wing it. So Chad found these two girls in a Suburban that night because we left, and these two girls were left down there in the base camp. And it was dark. It'd just make a hell of a good haunted movie. And so when Chad got there, these two girls were in this Suburban, and they had a shovel, and they were scared to death. And there was a light on the counter. I hope this is right. There was a light on the counter or on the dash that kept going, whoa, coming in and out, in and out. Well, what they had found out was, what they said was there was an orb that came at them coming down the road. In that orb that came by the Suburban and went by them was a Indian chief. And that's their story. They'll have to pay for that one. Because I'm just saying, is that right, Chad? Yeah. And so in turn, now they're believers. And some reason, somebody's listening out there, and if you don't believe, then you will. Because it's wilder than a hammer sometimes out there. Yes?
This water has got some kind of healing powers. If you drink it, does it help, or do you have to soak in it, or what?
We've really not experienced about the drinking of it, but when you get into it, so we know from satellite that there's a huge meteorite there. And then we also have these ley lines and energy fields, and then that blue aura where we drilled the holes. So we don't know exactly what's going on there, but people seem to really recover by just getting into the pond, and also on the east side in the energy field. And that's where, like, the drones and things like that they launch will just go crazy. And
how do we find this?
So all you got to do is, if I'm in Utah, you're more than welcome to come up there. Anybody is. I invite the whole world. Just come on, help us understand this deal, because it's very important for us as a group to know that there's more out there than what we're being told. And that was a promise to Jeremiah Davis on his deathbed, that he wanted me to tell people that there is more out there than what the government or religions, the high up religions, are telling us.
How do I find it? I just look for Blind Frog Ranch?
Yeah, Blind Frog Ranch, or I'll give you my number. You just text me, and if you're coming to Utah, we'll meet you at the gate. People just keep coming, and they really are. And again, you know, if it helps you, fine. If it doesn't, but tell your story. And then that way know, and tell me, and then that way we know what is and what isn't. And it's just the truth. It's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Did you save any of that blue dirt and get it analyzed at all? And can you tell me how blue the blue part was?
Collateral damage on this one. So I had a bucket of it. And so, dang it. So I got just a little bit left because the bucket got thrown away because at one time I was married and now I'm not, and things get disposed of. Shit, help me out here. You got another question?
How blue was the blue? We'll switch to that part.
Do what, sir?
How blue, when you say it was blue?
Oh,
like
my
blue,
goodness. I am kind of colorblind, but it was just as blue and the prettiest thing you ever seen. If you go on the internet, you'll see how blue it was. And it shows that auger coming up, and it shows that massive amount of blue. And it was like it was an insulator. Once we drilled through that is whenever this whole deal went crazy.
And you never felt any effects from that? I mean, you know, being that close, you never felt any physical effects from that stuff being that close to it at all?
No. Everything's been a good feeling for us, although it does jack with the equipment, like drones or anything. I'll tell you a funny story. We told them, we said, hey, come on now, you don't want to launch a drone right here because, you know, it'll jack with your equipment. And they said, Carga said, look, we do films all over the world. We kind of know, you just stay back just a little bit. They launched a $20,000 drone. It went up, the screen went gray, and ran that son of a bitch right into a mountain over there. Sorry.
Okay, sir, I'm gonna phrase like 2 or 3 questions in one.
Make them short.
Let's talk about General Jeremiah Davis from the United Galactic Federation of the Galaxy of Hinden.
Yes,
so
sir.
here's my question. So this guy is giving you information,
Yes, sir.
telling you that this craft that you saw is ours, meaning not the Galactics, correct?
No, they were from the Federation. These craft were from the Federation, not the government.
So the general's telling you that these craft you're seeing are not ours, these are from the Galactic Federation,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
And does he know that you're here speaking, and how did he give you his blessings?
He passed away.
Okay, there you go.
He passed away, and his full intentions was for us to know, because they saved my daughter, and it's called favor for favor. So here's the deal, is on his deathbed, he wanted somebody to know that there's more out there than what the governments or higher level religions are telling us.
So it sounds like he's a good CIA guy.
He's a good guy.
Which is rare.
Well, no, he was. He was drafted out of the CIA, out of Area 51, and that's where he saw his first craft, and then they drafted him into that federation.
Let Rob jump in here. Thank you, sir.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I love this guy. This guy's real. I mean, I feel what you're saying.
Thank you.
So what I want you to tell the people about sand turning to metal. Everybody knows sand turns to glass when you smelt it. Like law of physics are different than your property.
Yeah.
So explain about the sand and how you found out what that does and where it happens and where law of physics don't make sense, where things don't make sense, temperature changes, anything you got. Come on, shoot them.
All right. So here's the deal. So we tripped over this deal in Amarillo, Texas. So Amarillo, Texas, it's called CATA water, C-A-T-A water. It's a catless water. It helps clean up the contaminations of any cluster or any contamination. So basically what that water does is it breaks the surface tension of a molecule. It's charged. I've had the Federation run analysis on it, and where water is normally 8 in variance, it has 15 in variance. So it's huge. It's crazy stuff. And so in turn, this CATA water facility, they have 9 reactors. I built 6 of those reactors. And so I know what's going on there, or a huge percentage of it. So it creates this huge energy field. In doing that, that's how we test that's how we test the energy field, is because we'll take dirt. It don't matter where you go. You can go get sand down there at Lowe's or Home Depot. As long as you take that dirt and you put it in that energy zone for at least 12 hours, but let's just say 24, just to be safe. You put the dirt in a cooking pot, and at that elevation of 3,300 feet, you have to take it to about 1,850 degrees. There. In Utah, you got to take it to around 1950, something like that, because of the elevation. So and this was all stumbled on, because whenever you take that dirt and you put it into a malted state to 1,850 degrees and you let it boil and you're in that energy zone, when you pour that dirt out, you can have 2 ounces of dirt and it will pour back 1 ounce of metal, plus or minus. We don't need to get technical. I mean, it's pouring out metal. And that's what this stuff is right here. And this is the metals that are made there. So we stumbled onto that, just checking the energy zone, because you can go, and there's time? It's about time for a blue moon is what it's about time for. Just
You still have a panel.
Oh, okay. All right. So in real quick, so what happens there is how we check that energy zone is we move those pots out, and the farther you get away, the less metal it makes. And the only time it really makes a lot of metal is whenever it's cloudy or gloomy. I don't know why. It's just like the ions are just percolating there for whatever reason. So we found out how to check an energy zone up there through the cattle water facility, and then that's how we started checking up here. The only thing that we can't figure out up here is it's inconsistent. We made metal. I made metal one time out there by myself, and it was dark whenever I left. And so I went to Arn Uffer out of Utah. Let's just call him Arn. Whatever. So anyway, I went and showed him because he was a halo jumper in the Vietnam War for the CIA. So he was a good guy. He's a bad guy, but he was a good guy. And so he was also a metallurgist. And I went and showed him what I made, and I wanted him to run the test on that metal. And so it was dark when I left the property, and whenever I got there, it was dark at his facility. We had our meeting for 2 hours. I left and went to a motel. 2 days later, Homeland Security showed up, and they said, we want to know what you know about Duane Ollinger and what you know about that property. There was nobody that knew I was out there. So how were they seeing that deal? I'm just saying. And I said, Arn, don't worry about it. We'll sell it to them. I was just kidding on that one. So.
This is our